MotoGP returns this weekend to Austria for the Austrian Grand Prix. It looks set to be an interesting weekend with the new track layout being tested, Marquez returning to the paddock, although he isn't riding, and more news on the rider market likely to come out. So let's get straight into a preview of this weekend. Starting with the weather this weekend, it looks pretty likely to be wet for the entirety of it. Race day looks to be the least wet as of the writing of this, with the hourly forecast suggesting that the rain will clear out as of 11 AM, but that could easily change. We might just be seeing Binder finishing the race again on slicks. Who knows? We shall have to find out. The new layout means that it is pretty much impossible to predict the pole position lap time for this coming weekend. Last year we of course had two races in Austria and Jorge Martin took the pole position in both, with his best lap time out of the two of them being a 1 minute 22.643. I would estimate that the new layout will probably add about 10 seconds to the dry weather lap time, but it's hard to say. Either way, lap records will be broken all weekend, and with the wet weather it's going to be difficult to predict what pole is until we see a couple of free practice sessions anyway, so sorry, not a lot of information I can give you there. In terms of the race, we all know that this is a Ducati track and that won't have changed, so Zarco, Martin, Bastianini, all the Ducati guys should be doing well this weekend. If it is wet, I could see Jack Miller doing well, perhaps even winning the race, because we know how well he does in wet conditions. The Aprilia, similarly to the Ducati, should do pretty well this weekend. It seems to be a very good bike all around, and so Maverick, with his ever-improving form, might just be on for a race win. He would be only the 5th rider to achieve a race win on 3 different makes of bikes in MotoGP, which would be very cool to see. It may be a difficult weekend for Fabio Quartararo because the new layout with that start-stop chicane will probably benefit the bikes like the Ducatis more with their greater acceleration out of the corners, since it's a very start-stop kind of thing. With the wet weather, perhaps Fabio can do something, but it might be a difficult weekend for the 2021 World Champion. Aleix Espargaro has an alright track record around the Red Bull Ring. It's difficult to say how he will do this weekend because of course he still is carrying a bit of an injury from that monster high side in FP4 at the British Grand Prix, and so if he's feeling good, he'll be fighting top 5. I can see that happening pretty easily. That Aprilia is a very good bike and he's been doing very well. If he's still on the mend, then perhaps it'll be a bit more of a difficult weekend for Aleix again. Pecco Bagnaia ideally needs to win this race, but at least achieve a podium. He needs to keep closing down that gap to the 2 in front of him, and so a win would be ideal for the Italian. Last year, Pecco was fighting for the lead in the Austrian GP before the rain came. He did end up swapping his tyres, so he ended up finishing 2nd, but he was doing very well in that race last year, so he needs to do the same this year if he wants to keep closing down the title leaders. And of course, speaking of Brad Binder, if there is one track where KTM want to do something amazing, it will be, of course, at the Red Bull Ring, who are their title sponsors. The wet conditions that look set to come in this weekend mean that both Binder and Oliveira may have the opportunity to go for a race win, which would be very exciting, and an epic repeat of last year if it does happen. Alright, that's a very fast preview of the Austrian Grand Prix this weekend. I hope for another great race like we saw in Silverstone. Maybe this title race can close up even more. I've got my fingers crossed for it. I don't know if you think it can, but I'm definitely hoping for it. Let me know if you do think it can close up in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.